Hello, Power Up Gamers. Today I want to have a little conversation about maybe anxiety and panic attacks. You know, I honestly haven't learned a lot about them because I've honestly just started dealing with them in the last maybe month or so. Um, First time I remember it happening and kind of realizing what was happening, or at least later on realizing what was happening, was at the grocery store, and I don't know, my heart kind of was racing a little bit, couldn't think straight. Remember picking up a item and looking at the things on it, and my vision got a little blurry. And yes, I did talk to a doctor and stuff. But I started having a couple of them, and one of the things that really stuck with me is I have a couple of friends. There's a couple, and they've been having some issues. And for my vacation, I took a couple of days and went over and visited them over. And the wife picked me up, Leslie, and I don't know. I kind of thought about it on the way. There's a couple times she was driving like a lunatic, and I thought it in my head, but I didn't really. We made it, but there was a couple times like, whoa, okay. And then when I went to sleep, or started going to bed that night, I kind of started getting a little panicky then, and I started realizing, man, that was a couple times we were close. It was kind of scary, and I've thought about it, and I really have to wonder, for at least me, I learned to bury my feelings and not have them. And unfortunately, 4 or 5 years ago, I had a mental breakdown and kind of couldn't bury them anymore. And so I kind of have to wonder if that's kind of what I'm learning to deal with. Is I used to just ignore things and whatever. And now I'm kind of having to learn how to cope with the feelings that I learned how to bury and get them. And I don't know that that's the way for everybody or what happens, but I know, at least for me, the panic attacks, I just went back to work about 3 months ago, and it's been about a year since I worked. And even at work, I kind of get stressed and start having one. And it's one of the things that today, matter of fact, I noticed after I started having it, or before I knew it started happening, I noticed it's almost like I'm getting a sensory overload. Like a kid yelled, and it wasn't even a horrible screech or anything. It kind of grated on me, and then somebody made some noise in the back, and it's kind of a bunch of noise, and it just kind of got to me. And I had to kind of pull myself out of that situation and go and kind of just calm myself down. And I know, man, the panic attacks can be, you don't really know why they're coming or when they're coming. And I think for me, the meditating and trying to do the mindfulness and, has helped. But I really do have to wonder if it's kind of, getting overwhelmed and not being able to handle things. It's, and this one sounds a little weird, but I've done a little study in psychology and a little bit of the idea of what's your subconscious and your conscious mind. And your subconscious picks up huge amounts of data compared to your conscious mind. And I really wonder if that's some of what's happening too, is that I'm picking up stuff that I don't understand what's going on because it's a subconscious reaction. And to something, to fear, to overload, I'm not for sure. But your subconscious is a very powerful thing. And I don't remember the specific numbers. I remember reading about it, but say your conscious mind can pick up 2,000 processes a minute. Subconscious can do like 10. And so I really have to wonder if it's kind of, I learned to kind of ignore my gut instincts and my feelings for so long, and now I'm kind of having to learn to cope with those things. There's a video I've seen on Facebook a few times, and one of my friends has got a doctorate in teaching. We talk about it. Matter of fact, we talked today about some of that things and how to change our thought patterns and how to function better. And that video, it's a rabbi talking about a lobster, and how they get irritated and the shell kind of gets rough before they molt and get a new one. And it's kind of the idea that to grow, you have to kind of feel a little discomfort and maybe some pain. Because I'll be honest, the panic attacks really scary. But even like today when I started having, I tried to like, okay, what's happening? What are you feeling? Okay, how can we kind of, I don't know if you'd say ride with it or go on with it, but, and and then it's not easy. And for those of you that had it for a long time in your life, I don't know for sure what you're going through. I just know what I'm going through. And I know that the meditation of the mindfulness helps. I really do think sometimes we talk about in our culture, about how we bury our feelings and emotion. I know especially that's done to men a lot of times, or at least told that way. And I'll be honest with me, I don't know how much it was told or just how much I saw around me, and that's how I thought I should act. There's another video I've seen, and it's a martial arts instructor with a young boy, and he's trying to break a board, and he starts crying, and the instructor starts going, what's wrong? What's going on? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I kind of assumed that he was going to give him a hard time for crying, and then finally the boy said, it's hard. And the instructor kind of looked at him and said, sometimes things are hard, and it's okay to be upset, but are you going to keep trying? And it's funny, I had never thought of it in that way, but I was a manager for about 15 years of my life, mostly Taco Bell, but some McDonald's. And I'll be honest, I really liked working with the kids, and I kind of had realized that in a different way, and maybe, I don't know if how to put it, but I can remember incidents with one of the girls I was training. She got upset with me, and understand I could be rough. A lot of times at work, I had another manager or guy there that I would get to train people before they ever got to me, because I was the one that was going to kind of polish and finish and push you as hard as you could go. And I remember that girl, she got upset with me and she kind of cried a little bit and backed off the line. And I waited a little bit till she calmed down, and she went to another position, not even staying where she was supposed to be. Once she calmed down a little bit, I called her over to me, and I said, what happened here? And I'll be honest, I think I even know a better way to deal with this than I did then. But I said, you got upset, and it got hard, and you gave up. And then I said, is that how you want to spend the rest of your life? Or do you want to just run away, or do you want to fight? And she thought a little bit, and I gave her a little time. And I went outside. I was a little, I knew that, not that this is some monumental thing in life, but I knew that it's an important chance to realize that, and it may not happen again for a while. And she got online, and she started making food, and I think that's kind of what I try to remind myself and to do, dealing with these things. Depression is not a pretty thing. And learning disabilities, and I'll be honest, I'm trying to quit saying that myself. We learn differently. Yeah, there are some people that literally do, just the capacity is not there, but we see things differently and we function differently. And it's not necessarily that somebody's better or worse than us. But learning to cope with things it's hiding from it doesn't do us any good. I guess that's my thing about the anxiety and the panic attacks I'm having is, as much as I'm dealing with them and they're happening, I'm doing my best to kind of pay attention to what's going on around me and kind of introspective. That's one of the things I think about my meditation is that I kind of try to look back on the day and what happened, why did this happen, and just trying to be for the moment. I think that makes a big difference. And, I would love to hear comments from everybody out there, what they think about their panic or anxiety and how they deal with it. I'd really like to spark a discussion, especially in this group. But, just to get other people's opinions. It's one of the things, I'm not saying I'm there already yet, but it's one of the things I want to do with this channel is let's kind of, how can we help each other? The reality is on our own. We're not nearly as strong as if we're together. We can make a lot of help with each other with little help, how we cope, how we deal. How do you deal with when you're overwhelmed? I know especially the autistic and people on autism spectrum, that's a big issue, is that they get overwhelmed by sensory input. So if you've had any experience with this stuff and you got something to say about it, put a comment in there. Let's talk about it. Let's try to help each other.